Good day and welcome to the Delights of Photography channel. Although today we are going to be talking more particularly about smartphones, and it's the joy of smartphone photography we're going to be talking about. And today we're going to start looking at the first steps you take to make sure that you take images that are really the images that you would like to take. So thank you. Those of you who've been with us for a while, thank you for staying with us. If you have just joined us for the first time, it's well worth clicking on the subscribe button, bottom right, which will take you back to the first videos in the smartphone session and also all the other videos that we've done on photography. So this is all about smartphone photography and how we are going to enjoy taking smartphone images. Taking great phone photos. That's what we need to do, because so many people do take phone pictures that are not great because of various reasons. So let's start going through all the different things that we can look at. Using your smartphone camera. Firstly, everything that applies to creative photography with a normal camera applies to smartphone cameras. They're just another type of camera. So everything you've learned about composition, all those sort of things, apply equally to your smartphone camera. So let's talk about capturing your image. Understand your camera. It's really very important to understand your camera. Even though it seems to be easy to use and just takes pictures for me, if you understand it, you'll make sure that you get the real benefit from the camera. And instruction books. I know the common view is real women and real men don't need instruction books. You don't ever read instruction books, which is a pity. Because if you look at the instruction book for your particular phone camera, it will show you all sorts of things that you may not have known and will help you to take better pictures. Better pictures because it tells you everything about your camera, how to set up your phone, all the different functions. It tells you what all the different buttons do. You don't have to spend a whole time just studying the whole thing. You just have to read it to get a feel for what your camera actually can do. But if you really don't look at instruction books, have a look at your camera on the phone. If you have a look, the first thing you do is obviously tap on the camera icon, which on the screen is top left of the icons. And if you do that, you'll obviously get your camera. Then if you have a look at your camera screen, bottom left, in this case you can see the little gear. You tap on that gear, and boy, it'll bring up a list of all sorts of things that your camera can do that you may not have thought of doing. Like all sorts of different things. So if you want to know what your camera can do that. Tap on the gear and just have a look, and then experiment and play with all the different settings. Because once you play with the settings, you'll start to become confident with them, and that will help you take much better pictures. Because as with all photography, it's all about light and how your phone captures that light. Early morning light, evening light, interesting light, sunsets, and what we do with that light. Because the light is not always what we expect. Sometimes the light is different because it's mist or something like that, which is unexpected. So take the time to understand light, because light helps you take good photographs. And something we need to think about is one point that many people do, but most people don't do. I've given a lot of talks on smartphone photography, and the majority of people who listen to me don't do this. So the first thing you need to bear in mind with your camera is clean the lens. You need to ask yourself, when last did you clean the lens on your smartphone camera? Easy. Microfiber cloth, just give it a few rubs, it'll stay clean. Now why do we need to do that? Because your fingers are rubbing on your phone all the time because you're holding your phone. And that's depositing a little layer of grease all over the camera and also all over the lens. Now you may not notice that because it's progressive as it gets dirtier and dirtier. But when your images start looking like this with a sort of slight blur all over them, instead of clean, you know something's wrong and your lens needs to be clean. Unless you really want to have this kind of feeling with all your photographs, clean the lens, and then you'll get nice, clean, smart pictures. Cleaning the lens, first step. Also, be ready. You need to make sure your camera icon is on the startup screen so you can turn your camera on quickly. Because the point of having a smartphone camera is it's with you all the time. So when you see photo opportunities, you want to be able to grab them. So there you go. Bottom left, in this particular case, there's the camera icon. You can take the picture quickly. So check your camera, because many cameras will allow you a special thing to start the camera quickly without even turning on the phone. On my particular phone, I just double click the volume button and the camera comes on, and you can take the picture. Have a look at your particular camera and work out how to turn the camera on quickly. Because life doesn't wait for you to fiddle. At the moment you've got this particular image and the guys in reflective clothing on the left just work quite well, but they're not going to stop and wait while you turn on your camera. And these guys, once they're finished, are going to move. They don't mind that you're trying to take their picture. And these guys in particular are not waiting around for anything. You need to whip out your camera quickly and be able to turn it on. Shutter release options, volume buttons, headphone cable, tap on the screen. You can use Bluetooth to take, but all sorts of things enable you to take the picture. Click on the volume button in this particular case and you can turn the camera on. Sometimes you'd like to use Bluetooth and you can get very inexpensively remote Bluetooth activators, so you just take the picture easily. If you want pictures like this, because without the young lady the picture is nothing. Don't take it quickly. You might lose it because there's traffic. So the first key point, apart from cleaning the lens, is keep your camera steady. It seems very obvious, but if you look at how many people use their cameras with one hand and just wave it around. Keep your camera steady and keep your camera straight. Because if you keep the camera straight, you don't have to waste time afterwards straightening the picture. It's good to use two hands. And this is how most people do it, with the arms stretched out, which again makes it difficult to hold the camera perfectly steady. It's much better to bring your arms in and practice doing this. Again, you need to spend as much time as you would like in terms of improving your photographs. But this is a really good thing to do. This is a sample hand grip. You could hold your left hand like this, and then you bring up your right hand and you support the camera, and then you use your thumb to actually take the picture. Depending on different models of cameras, this particular camera, you could have it voice activated. You can say cheese and it'll take the picture, which is really great. But remember how you should hold the camera steady and practice doing that so it becomes automatic. And use burst mode. Many people don't maybe use burst mode accidentally, because depending on the camera, obviously, if you hold your finger on the button on the screen, it goes and takes a whole lot of pictures, just like that. So you need to work out with your camera how to use burst mode. So why would you want to use burst mode? Because you take a whole series of pictures, like for example here you have a butterfly. And butterflies don't like photographers, so they don't stand still for very long. So if you take a burst like this, somewhere with good fortune, there will be an in-focus picture. It's well worth experimenting. Try burst photography. If the light is low and it's difficult, any kind of difficult environment, use bursts, because you never know, you might just get one or maybe even two images that are really good. Clear out the ones you're not keeping, because burst goes brrr, and you could have 50 pictures in no time flat. Practice burst mode. Don't forget tripods. Many people forget about the tripod when they've got a smartphone camera. If you're taking images in poor light, tripod's fantastic. So the first step really is, how does my camera phone focus? You've got autofocus, which is standard, or selective focus. With autofocus, the camera just focuses. You take the picture and the camera focuses. And smartphones are pretty good because most everything in the image will be in focus. But sometimes there's something just special in that image that you would like to make sure it is in perfect focus. So in that case, again, look at your instruction book, or many cameras work like this. You put your finger on the screen and a little yellow square like on the left will appear on the screen. That means that that particular item is in perfect focus. The rest of the picture will be in pretty good focus, but perfect focus, that's what you want. There you go, you tap there and it's in perfect focus. And sometimes you want to adjust the exposure. Adjusting the exposure is a wonderful creative tool. So if you have a look at this, you'll see in the middle, the little column with a white dot in the middle, in which you move up and down to vary the exposure. Again, look at your particular camera and find out how to do that. With many cameras, you just put your finger on the screen and move it, and it will adjust the exposure for you. So you adjust the exposure manually. There it is. So you put your finger on the screen and you move it up, and the picture gets brighter. Or you move it down, now the picture gets darker. So anywhere in between, and it's real time, so you can decide what type of exposure you want, because sometimes slightly darker exposures give images more mood. Again, experiment and practice with that, because you'll find that you use it more frequently than you would ever imagine. So those are the first steps of things to think about when you're making use of your smartphone. It's an amazing instrument and will take wonderful pictures for you. But again, it's your choice as to how much effort you put into taking really good pictures. In our next talk, which will be in a couple of days, we'll continue talking about how you can do things to your camera phone which help you take much better pictures. Because the aim is you want to take pictures that are really, really good for you. Appreciate your time joining us. I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. And here we go.